that sounds interesting to you, maybe snag your bolster. And yeah, let's get started seated. So if you want to sit on your bolster or block, that might be a nice option to elevate the hips a little bit. And just a real quick, you can give me a thumbs up. Can you hear me okay back here? I see a thumbs up. Okay. I have a couple of my friends have been telling me that it's been hard to hear me the past couple classes. So if that ever happens, if you can't hear me as I go on, feel free to unmute and let me know. So I'm not talking to nobody.
It's lower than usual, but it's fine.
Okay. Thank you. All right. I'm gonna mess around with it and see what's going on with the volume and everything. But let's start to settle into a seat. Starting to lengthen your back a little bit, and then bring your shoulders up towards your ears and kind of squeeze them up towards your ears. Take a breath in. And then exhale, squeeze the shoulders down the back. Let's do that a couple more times, kind of an emphasized shoulder shrug and roll down. Letting your breath guide your movement, inhaling up, exhaling down. Let's do one more of those. All right, you can let your eyes close if you'd like, or maybe just find a steady gaze out in front of you. I usually offer that eyes closed option to tune inward. Taking away one of the senses is a nice way to kind of move inward, change your awareness. That can also be done by just gazing at something in your room, something in the space that you're in, softening the eyes onto that. In the next few moments, bring awareness to your breath. Just noticing how your breath is moving. No need to change it. No need to judge it. Just acknowledge the movement of your breath. And what I love most about this mindfulness meditation technique of noticing the breath is you can do it literally at any time, any place, any situation. The breath is with you always. You might start to slow it down a little bit. And if possible, just letting the breath move in and out of your nose. Actually feeling the breath travel over the nostrils, in the nostrils, and back out. You might notice a cool sensation as you breathe in through the nose, and a warmer sensation as you breathe out. Let's gently flutter the eyes open if they were closed. We'll do a little pranayama practice, alternate nostril breathing. You can use your thumb and your ring finger to open and close either side of the nose. I think all of you have done this before, Nadi Shodhana breath. So we'll start by closing off the right side of the nose. Inhale through the left. Close off the left, exhale right. And inhale right. Seal off the right, exhale the left. Inhale, left side. Sealing off, exhale, right. Continue on your own here for a few more rounds. And seeing if you can elongate your inhale and exhale a little bit more. Each round gets a little bit longer. We'll do this for about 30 more seconds. If you lose count or miss a side, no worries. You can just pick back up where you left off. We'll end on an exhale. So the next time you let a breath out of one side, you can let your hand come back down onto your legs. You might close the eyes and just sit for a moment, noticing any change, any shifts, any sensation. Alternate nostril breathing is a nice way to kind of calm the mind and sort of reset, balancing right and left side of the brain and kind of like a cleansing, calming quality. You can open your eyes when you're ready and switch the cross of your legs. Start to move a little bit more here. So hands can be on the tops of the legs. You might even notice the texture of your clothing under your hands. Another mindfulness technique, another practice, tapping into the senses, sense of touch. Let's start to round the back. So kind of using the hands on the legs here to round, chin tucks in, exhale, and then arch the back, look up, broaden across the collarbones. Seated cat and cow. Take another 3 rounds or so, moving with your own breath. Just letting your inhale and exhale guide your movements. And eventually we'll meet back in the center with a long spine, lifted chest, lengthen the sides of the neck. Let your next in-breath float your arms up, almost like your inhale were made of helium, filling the arms. And then exhale, let your arms float back down, like there's a little hole that gets popped into your helium-filled arms. Let's stretch the arms back up. Inhale, floating up. And exhale, coming down. So this is simple. Just kind of feeling into the sensations that might come up for you. Continue inhaling, arms up, kind of inching out of the sides of the body in the low back. And exhale, you come down. It's moving through the space around you one more time. And exhale, float the hands down. Let's bring the arms back up once more. Inhale, the helium fills the arms. And then twist to one side. So bringing your hand to the opposite knee, look behind you. Inhale. Exhale to stay, look over the back shoulder. And inhale, come back up. Sweep the arms right up and overhead. And twist to the other side. Exhale. Breathing in. Breathing out, stay. Navel comes back towards the spine. And then float back through the center. Arms come up and overhead. Let's drop one hand down next to your side here onto the ground. Reach up through your lifted hand and lean over. nice space in the side of the body. You might even walk your hand that's on the ground away from you a little bit. Curling the chest open, grounded in the lower body. Let's come back up through the center. Inhale. And exhale to the other side. Breathing in, breathing out. And come back up. Inhale. Nice and slow. Exhale the hands back down, letting all the breath go. And let's come into a table. Just take your time to transition. So moving slow, keeping it fairly simple today. Tabletop, we notice the hands connected to the earth. Whenever the weather changes, I start to feel a little bit antsy, a little bit ungrounded. So it's kind of feeling into the ground here, your hands rooted, the knees, maybe the tops of the feet. See if you can soften the front of the body without dipping the low back. So we're keeping a strong and sturdy back, but letting the front of the body soften a little more. Kind of exploring that, almost like the organs were becoming a little softer, hanging in that space. Take a big breath in and a full breath out. Let's reach the right leg back, and you might firm up the front of the body a little bit. Just kind of thinking about firm and stable rather than rigid. Turn your back toes down. They can be on the ground or hover, your call. Lengthen the chest forward here, and maybe reach the left fingertips forward. Balancing, grounding, feeling the energy from the earth kind of feed this pose. Another breath in. As you exhale, bring your hand and your knee back down. Swivel the hips over to the right, and then shift them forward, kind of like you're coming through an upward facing dog. Look up, and then shift the hips to the left and all the way back towards the heels. One more big circle in that same direction, finding that full range of motion here as the side body opening. Let's meet back in a neutral table. Spread the fingers wide, reach the left leg back. Steady breath here. You might even imagine the left inner thigh lifting up towards the ceiling. Maybe the right fingertips stretch forward, thinking about your arm bone staying back into its socket. Rooting through the left hand firmly. Another breath in. As you exhale, hand and knee come back to the earth. Shift your hips to the left, taking two big circles in this other direction here. And I really like to think about kind of moving into the wrists when I do this as well. So getting this little kind of pressure into the hands, rolling out through the wrists. Let's meet back in the center. Tuck your toes under. I'm going to set your hips back towards your heels. Walk your hands back and bring the hands to the tops of your thighs. So this might be fairly intense. Sometimes the bottoms of the feet are super tight. You can decide how much weight you want to sit back into your feet here. You might keep your hands on the ground even. So it's kind of deciding where you want to be. We'll be here for a little bit more time. And waking up the bottoms of the feet. Another grounding practice. If you'd like, you can take your hands out in front of you like two stop signs. Spread your fingers super wide. You're stretching the fingers apart, and then gently turn the fingers out and away from each other. And slow motion, start to turn the fingers down towards the ground. And they might not go super far, or they might go all the way so your fingers are pointing down. And we'll take that in the other direction. Spread the fingers and just follow that same path. back around. Let's just do that one more time. Kind of like turning a doorknob, but with open palms, spread fingers. All right, come back through the center. Shake out the hands, maybe even roll out the wrists a little bit if you want. And we'll come back to table, untuck the toes, draw the knees wide, set the hips back towards the heels, child's pose. Feel free to take a little bit of movement here, setting the hips closer to the heels, maybe a little shifting side to side. Maybe you're propped up on your forearms here. Sometimes sitting the hips way back towards the heels doesn't feel possible. Just know that forearms can be a nice middle ground there. Tune back into your breath, just noticing the flow of your breath right now. On your next inhale, shift forward through table. Lower your forearms down onto the ground. We're moving towards Sphinx pose. So you can extend your legs back, walk your knees together, lower the pelvis down towards the earth. Propped up on the forearms, gently hug your legs together. Thinking about pushing into the elbows a bit here. Draw the front ribs back and broaden across the collarbones, almost like the sternum or kind of gliding forward between the hands. Take another breath in. As you exhale, bring the chin down towards your chest and then rock your right ear over towards your right shoulder. Inhale. Exhale, let the chin draw a line across your collarbones and inhale to the other side. One more time to each side here, finding that flow through the middle, back over to the right, dropping the head, and over to the left. Gently dropping the chin back down towards the sternum. On your in-breath, lift your chest, broaden across the collarbones, look forward, and then melt down onto the belly. You can draw the elbows wide, stack the hands, and let your forehead rest down. Breathing in and breathing out, just noticing the weight of your body settling. Let the earth hold your body here. And noticing how your body meets the earth, how the earth meets your body. In the next breath or two, slide your hands next to your body so the palms face up. The thumbs are touching the outer edges of your legs. And bring your forehead down onto the ground. And kind of gluing the backs of the hands to the earth, we'll start to lift the right leg off of the ground, point the toes, maybe lift your head, maybe lift your chest a little bit, and then hug the inner thighs together gently. Take another breath in. As you exhale, forehead and leg come down at the same time. And inhale the other side. Left leg lifts up. You can lift your head and chest, or feel free to keep your upper body grounded. Reach through the left toes, hug the leg in. On your next breath out, lower your leg down. Continue to flow here from side to side. Right leg lifts as you inhale. Exhale, lower. Left leg lifts, inhale. Exhale, folding, softening, lowering. Right leg, inhale. Exhale, coming down. Left leg lifting, lengthening, hugging in. Exhale to come down. One more time on each side. Find your breath. Find your flow. Thinking about keeping your pelvis spacious. So trying not to squeeze too much. Gently coming back down, lowering the leg, lowering the forehead. Good, let's bring the hands next to the rib cage here and press back to child's pose or downward facing dog. Your choice. We'll be here for a few rounds of breath. And down dog can be a lot of different things, kind of feeling into what this pose means to you today. Be a really big calf stretch, can be a back lengthener and strengthener, full body release, full body strengthener, really just kind of choosing what you're feeling today. Noticing your hands connected to the earth, the feet connected to the earth, breathing. Take another breath in. As you exhale, walk your feet out to the edges of your mat, and then walk your hands back to your feet. Coming into malasana. We'll let the hips drop down. Maybe the forearms come onto the thighs, or you can come down lower. Your call. It's here for a few rounds of breath. Sometimes some shifting side to side feels good. Thinking about the pelvis dropping down, the spine lengthening up. You might even take a block and set it under your hips if you want some extra grounding, some extra support there. That completely changes the pose for me. So just kind of feeling into where you want to be. Breathing in. Breathing out. For these last few breaths, you might play around with that mula bandha, that lifting of the pelvic floor as you inhale. Exhale, releasing it, softening. Another breath, lifting, toning the pelvic floor, kind of like a scooping up. And exhale, softening. Good, let's bring the hands down to the ground, lift your hips up high, and straighten your legs a little or a lot. You can turn your toes forward. Drop your head, holding over your wide legs. Maybe a little bit of swaying side to side would feel good here. Grab opposite elbow and opposite hand if you'd like. Maybe shake the head yes and no a little bit. Grounding down through your feet. Start to lift up halfway, lengthen your back. Bring your hands onto your hips. Press down into your feet and stand up. Sweep your arms up and overhead, maybe a little bit in front of your shoulders. Inhale. And then as you exhale, dive over your legs. You can soften your knees here, crawl your hands forward, and come back to your downward facing dog. Walking your feet closer together. Melt the chest towards the tops of the thighs. Chin drops down. Breathe in. Breathe out, soften the heels towards the ground. Maybe bend the knees a bit. And then look forward and step to the top of the mat this time. So little steps, whatever you need to do to get there. Meeting in a standing forward fold. Feet a little bit closer together. Drop your head. This time you might choose to even slide your hands under your feet and bend your knees enough to make that happen, and hang out here with the feet stepping on the hands. And if that's totally not possible, can also, or you just don't want to do it, a block out in front of you, resting your hands, palms face up, fingers toward your body. That's another way to get that same kind of wrist stretch. Breathe in and breathe out. If your feet are on your hands, gently start to release them. Let your knees soften here and then roll up to stand. Bending the knees a bit, let your spine roll up slowly. And when you arrive into standing, bring the shoulders up towards your ears and roll them down the back as you exhale. Standing up tall, Tadasana. Good, everybody. Let's sweep the arms up like they're floating. Helium-filled arms, and drop your left hand down to your side. Reach up through the right side of your body and lean over any amount. Exhale. Inhale, come back up through the center. Stretch your left arm up and drop your right hand down. Exhale over to the right. Inhale, come back up through the center. And exhale, hands down to your side. Stand up tall. Okay, let's step the right foot back for a warrior two pose. Just take your time here. Left foot is forward. I'm gonna actually take my socks off just to get a little more grounding action. If you'd like, you can flip your palms to face up, just finding a little more an opening across the chest. Sometimes that feels like the arm bones are kind of plugging into their sockets too. It's kind of softening into that. And you get to decide how much bend you have in the front knee. You might gaze at the front knee and just check in that it's over the ankle. Sometimes it tends to tip in or out, just kind of drawing it back in line. Ground through the outer edge of your back foot. On your next breath in, straighten your front leg and bring the arms overhead, palms to touch. Exhale right back into your warrior two. Let's do that again. Inhale, arms up, straighten your front leg, pressing into the foot. Exhale, warrior two. One more time, stretching your arms up. This time, let's turn the left toes in, facing the long side edge of your mat. Release your palms away from each other. Take a big breath in here, this big star shape in the body, and then fold forward, hinging forward, dropping in. While you're here, you might play around with a little side lunge action, bending into one knee and then the other. Let your toes spread wide. The feet are planted firmly on the earth here. Gently making your way back through the center. If you were shifting side to side, let's lift and lengthen halfway. Look forward. Bring your hands onto your hips, soften your knees, and stand all the way up. Good, let's step to the top of the mat. Maybe shake the legs out a little bit. When you're ready, move into the other side. Left foot steps back, right foot is forward. Grounding into the front foot. Spread the toes wide. Press through the back edge of your left foot and open your arms out. Palms can face up if that feels interesting. And think about hugging the front ribs in here, lifting up through the armpits, kind of inching out of the low back a little bit. On your next breath in, straighten your front leg, palms meet overhead. Exhale back into your warrior two. Inhale, stand up, reach up. Exhale, sinking back in. Inhale, reach the arms up, straighten the front leg, and then turn the toes in, prepping for your fold. Arms out wide, lift the chest, look up, and exhale to fold forward. Adding a little different dimension dynamic, if you'd like, you can start to inch the fingertips forward. So there's weight in the heels, but the fingertips are pretty far out in front of you, lengthening your back. Thread your right arm under the left and reach for your left leg, ankle, or foot, gazing under the left arm. Breathe in. As you exhale, release through the center and switch sides. Left arm under the right, looking under, thinking about drawing your hip creases up and back. Let's exhale through the center. Walk the hands back and onto the hips. And slowly stand up. Gently stepping back to the top of the mat. Take your time. Feet are grounded out in front of you. Let's float the arms up. Fold over your legs. Exhale. Inhale for a halfway lift. Look forward. And step on back to your down dog or table. We'll all meet in tabletop. So in the next couple of breaths, bringing the knees down onto the mat. Slide the hands under the shoulders. Reach your right arm out to the side or up towards the ceiling. Let's thread the right arm under the left. Come down onto the shoulder, onto the ear. Reach the left fingertips forward. We've got this nice shoulder stretch along with a twist in the spine. Exploring how your breath fits into this equation here, your body in a different shape. Where's your breath moving? How is it moving? Gently pressing into your left hand. Let's come out of the pose. Maybe taking a big stretch open, curling open to the right. And then bring your hand back down to the ground. Let's move to the other side. Left arm reaches up whenever you're ready. Thread it under. Sometimes this takes a little bit of kind of wiggling around, finding the right place, adjusting where your arm lands on the ground can make a big difference sometimes. So feel free to play around with how your body is positioned here. Gently start to come out of the pose when you feel ready. Come back to your table. Slide the left hand in front of the right. So just so it's right there in front, and then lower the right elbow down. Set the hips back. Soften the head between the arms for this nice side body child's pose. You can decide um, how much length you want to be putting into the side body. If you want to feel a little more, you can press into the left hand and actively draw the left hip crease back. Deep breath in here and a breath out. Softening. Gently come forward into your table. Shift sides, right hand in front of the left. Gently dropping your left elbow down. Set the hips back and lower the head. Slowly shift forward into your table. Swing your legs out in front of you. Come onto your seat. Just reach the legs straight out in front. Hands next to your hips. And take the next breath or two to kind of find your sitting bones. That might look like leaning forward a little bit, or maybe even reaching back and kind of moving your buttocks flesh out of the way. Settling down onto the sitting bones, lift the chest. Maybe you float your arms up and take a breath in, and then fold over the legs. Let your hands fall where they fall. You might use your hands on your legs or your feet to kind of pull against your fold. A little bit of traction. All right, let's gently lift the chest. Take your time to come up. Hold your left knee in so the sole of the foot comes to the inside of the right leg. Janu Shirshasana, lifting the chest, gentle turn over towards the right leg. Exhale to hinge forward, fold in. We're slowing things down now, so feeling into how your breath is, what it's doing now. And when you're ready, crawl the hands back, lift the chest, and bring the left sole of the foot onto the ground. So it's still on the inside of the leg. You could bring your foot to the outside of your right leg. We're going to sit up tall here. Again, finding the sitting bones. You can reach the right arm up, lengthening through the right side of the body, and then twist over the left shoulder. So you can either hug your knee in, cradling it in your elbow crease, or hook your elbow to the outside of the thigh. If possible, continue to extend through the right heel. Lift the chest. Draw the navel in towards the spine. Exhale. Release through the center. Inhale. Extend your left leg out. And draw the right leg in. Right knee bends, sole of the foot to the inside of the leg. Just a micro twist over towards your left leg here. Inhale. As you exhale, fold in. You might bring some awareness to the right side ribs, Thinking about rolling them down towards the ground. Just gently lift the chest. Point the right knee up towards the ceiling. Maybe slide the left leg in a little bit. Option to keep your foot where it is or cross it over. Left arm can reach up when you're ready. Inhale for space. And exhale, make your twist. Gazing behind you. Hug the leg in or hook your arm. On your next in-breath, come back through the center. Unravel the legs. And let's start to move towards the ground onto our backs, and you'll want your bolster or block with you when you come down. When you come onto your back, you can start to move into your supported bridge pose right away. I'm going to use my bolster here, but like I said, a block would work as well. Something I love about having the bolster is it's like a broader surface for the back of the pelvis to rest on. It feels a little more supportive. Wherever you are, think about the knees gently hugging in towards one another. It doesn't need to be super active, but just a general sense of that happening. I'll invite you to stretch your arms up and overhead, lengthening through the sides of the body. And then maybe you bend your elbows, cactus arms, letting the backs of the arms rest on the ground next to your head. Maybe inching the shoulders a little broader, the upper back a little wider. So this whole yoga practice can be thought of as like a moving mindfulness meditation, or paying attention to what's going on in the body, paying attention to our present moment experience. Even in moments of stillness, there's a lot going on. Sensation. You might take in sounds that are in your space. If the mind is wandering, you might see if you can just ease back into noticing the breath. You are more than welcome to stay right where you are, or begin to hug your right knee in towards your chest, holding onto the shin or the back of the thigh. This might be a nice time to extend your left leg down towards the bottom of the mat, maybe even hover the heel. I kind of like to think about this as like an upside down lunge. The sole of the foot might even face up towards the ceiling, and you can bring your knee towards your armpit, sinking the knee down, extending through your extended leg. Of course, sole of the foot can be on the ground as well. a breath in here and a breath out, sinking the knee down a bit more. As you inhale, switch your legs out, hug the left knee in and extend the right leg. Or so the right foot comes down. Option to hold onto the back of the leg, the shin, or maybe even the side of the foot. If you want to snag the side of your foot, kind of like a happy baby, that might feel interesting. All right, let's bring both knees in towards the chest or close to the chest. Knees are bent. And slowly extend your legs up towards the ceiling. It's our last little shake here, propped up on the bolster block. Just feeling that elevation of the legs. Maybe even roll the ankles out a little bit or move your legs in the air, widening the legs side to side or forward and backward. And the next few breaths, bring the soles of the feet back down. Lift your hips up enough to slide your prop out from under you. Let your knees come back in towards the chest. Open the arms out into a T and then drop the knees to one side. Spinal twist. And the next time you inhale, bring the knees back through the center. And exhale to the other side. Your gaze might fall in the opposite direction. Gently come back through the center. Bring the soles of the feet onto the ground. Grounding, rooting, touching this moment with awareness. Feel free to either walk your feet out wide and drop the knees together, or bring the soles of the feet together and the knees wide. Sometimes there's one shape that feels more relevant for the moment. Deciding what that is for you. I'll invite you to bring one hand over the heart, one hand on the belly. Notice that subtle movement of your breath rising and falling. Maybe you notice other patterns that your breath has right now. You're more than welcome to stay where you are, or you can move into another type of shape to rest in. We'll be here for about 4 minutes or so. Just dropping into your body, resting here on the mat, breathing in Shavasana. In the next few breaths, gently easing back into an upright position. That might include some movement along the way, a full body stretch, a pause on your side. Feel free to sit with the eyes open or closed, just kind of sitting with the practice. Maybe asking the question of what you might take with you and feel free to join the palms together in front of the heart. Sealing practice with an intention of gratitude for being able to share in this practice together. Thank you for being here. Namaste.